What's going on, my man?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. I'm over here. I know that you just finished up. You and I had this interview supposed to go out last week, but I know you had a freaking crazy little run at the end there with your deal. You want to share with everyone what happened with the deal and how you pulled it through?
Yeah, just me and my real estate partners were trying to close on some land, and we had our financing and everything set up, and thought we had, everything we needed to get done. But Texas actually implemented a rule recently that required us to have a piece of paper that we didn't have, and so we had to
Whoops.
scramble to try to get that registered and try to get it done in time, and just wasn't able to get it done in the time in which the seller was trying to close. So had to scramble and buy it cash, and just was very blessed to be able to do that, because otherwise we would have lost some money and lost the entire deal. So it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, and the reason that I asked that is that it's a unique characteristics that I see between all the GoBundance guys and between guys that are like uber successful is the ability to pivot really fast whenever life throws something at them. And I know you've had to make a lot of pivots in your life, and especially with the NBA and that last situation that we just had to go through back in December with the 76ers. So if it's okay with you, I'd really like for you to open up, introduce yourself to the audience, and then we can go into the ball side. And then we're going to just transition that all the way through to your portfolio and some of the stuff you've got going on, man, because you've got a wild story. You've been around the block, man.
I have been around the block a little bit. Yeah, just high level of my story is I grew up in Springfield, Missouri, pretty small town, nothing too major, nothing too crazy. Went to Creighton University out of high school, got a scholarship there, played basketball 4 years, finance degree. So got a chance to graduate, which is great. And then pursued my basketball journey. Was not able to get drafted, which it would have been nice. It would have been nice to get drafted, but
Yeah,
it
that's
didn't
fair.
happen. Ended up having to take the hard route, go to the D League, go overseas, and just try to figure it out there. So ended up making it finally after a few years of being told I wasn't good enough by multiple teams, and was able to, but really enjoyed the journey. We've been getting there. Played in Germany, played in Turkey, played in the G League, and have a beautiful wife, 4 kids, healthy. Everybody's healthy. At this point, 14 years pro, probably done. We'll see how the rest of the year goes and see if there's any teams that needs any savvy veterans like myself. But after this year, I'll be shutting that part of my life down. That's me in a nutshell, I guess, in 2 minutes or less.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, yeah, I see you posted a lot about your family, and you got a beautiful family, man.
Thank you.
That was
Appreciate
one of
it.
the reasons I wanted to bring you on because you're such a well-rounded dude. Like all of your posts, like you're so like it's either about your family, your business, it's like equal parts, which is refreshing because you don't normally see that a lot. So I've got a couple of questions about your journey here to the league because I feel like stuff that we can pull out from this is applicable to now how you're taking over in business and how you're taking over in every other area of your life. I feel like it transfers. So, can you talk a little bit about, first off, I'm curious, how did it feel when you finally got to your first team and then made the league? Like you were like, hey, I'm here. I finally made it. I was overseas. It's showtime.
Yeah, it felt amazing. There's no doubt about it. It's what I had worked for my entire life, to make it to the NBA and to just try to be a resource to the next generation once I got there. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be 1 second or a day, a week, a month, or a year, or 10 at that point. But once I did, it was amazing, amazingly refreshing. My rookie year, I actually made the Cleveland Cavaliers team. And now I was literally technically on the team for 1 day, but I made
Yeah.
the team. But even that to me was special, and it gave me confidence to even say, look, like, I can make it. I can. At least one team saw that I was good enough, and it gave me a lot of confidence to push forward. But yeah, that feeling when I first touched the court with the Spurs, indescribable, just incredible. And unfortunately, I lost my mom right before I was able to play officially in the NBA. But she got a chance to see me during the preseason leading up to that and all that stuff. So that was really cool. But that was the worst part about the experience, was that she wasn't there to experience it with me.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry to hear that, but I could probably say that she was for sure watching you. She was for sure watching you from upstairs, man, 'cause,
Absolutely.
I'm sure she was freaking proud of you.
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. It's just so that
Yeah.
was not to make it all sad or whatever, but
Aw,
at the
man.
end of the day, that was a huge thing going through my head when I finally did touch the court because it was right after my mom had actually passed away. A crazy emotional roller coaster of a time. Exactly. And it was a struggle, it was a struggle for really about that whole next year. That whole year was a blur, but I was able to just continue to work and figure it out. And that following year, I finally made it and stuck for the rest of my career.
Love it. So I want to talk about some of the habits and some of the routines and differences that you see between people operating at a professional level. So we'll use the NBA as an example here, but this applies to like business and every other aspect in life. But like for the guys that you see that are performing at the highest level, that are just cranking it out every single day, and people that are on the team. Like I think somebody said, I forget what the actual quote was. I don't want to butcher it, but I think it was like Jared Dudley or someone. He was, "Hey man, like I'm closer to LeBron. Like the worst guy in the league is closer to LeBron than like you'll ever be to any of us." He's like, we operate at such a high level that even when we look bad on the court and on the floor in comparison, he's like, we are still like light years beyond everyone else. So I'm curious to hear, is it a lot of, do you see more natural talent, or do you see a lot of that Kobe mentality where people are really dialed in and then hit on some of the things that you see people doing to really operate in that kind of mental space and go out there on the court and perform?
Yeah, of course you always have the freaks of nature, right? The
Yeah.
guys who can literally just show up and perform. But that is, I would say that's rare. There's not many of those guys, and those guys typically don't last very long in the NBA. Even being amazingly athletic and whatever it may be, it's if they don't learn how to create a work ethic and put in the time and effort, and especially on the mental side. There's a lot of athletes.
Yeah.
Athleticism is you know is something that can't be taught for sure, but it's also something that um, can be neutralized pretty easily with this. And so a lot of guys who don't learn how to use their heads in this game end up falling out at some point. And if it is at 1 year, 5 years, who knows? If they're extremely athletic, they can probably stick around for a while just with athleticism. But most of the time, it's the guys who figure out, hey, just being an athlete only gets me so far. If I take that and I put that with work ethic and I put that with increasing my basketball IQ, then this can be a 15, 17, 20-year career. And all the guys that you see that last 10 plus years are guys that have figured it out beyond just athleticism.
I love it. Yeah, so you saying it's more of a mental game, that this you just people that are able to just go on the floor and no matter what's happening in their outside life, they're able to go out there and just clear the noise and be able to perform at that level.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's critical because everybody has stuff going on,
Mhm.
outside of off the court. Everybody has stuff in their lives that they have to deal with. Real life. I mean, we're all just human. So we have mother issues and father issues and girlfriend issues and wife issues and just like everybody else. But then we're at a we have a job, or I said we, I'm not really playing right now, but I'm playing in the
Man, you've
NBA.
been in
But
the game. You're good.
yeah, yeah. But as far as that goes, like you're expected to basically shut all that stuff out and go out and entertain people.
Yeah.
And that's just not easy to do. It's not whenever you have real life things going on. So it's just something that people don't really understand and don't really give players credit for. But the fact that these guys can go out here and perform at the level they do, even through a lot of these life issues, it's actually pretty amazing.
I completely agree. And I was just able to actually go. Yeah, I'm sure you like Aaron Amuchastegui, right?
I know that name.
Yeah, over in Austin. Yeah, we actually just he's got courtside tickets. So we were sitting courtside over at a Spurs game. It was Spurs and Kings. It was awesome, man. It was my first time. But a quote comes to mind. It's something I actually talked about on this show before, and I think that it rings true to what you're saying there. is it's like the odds of making an NBA roster are 17,920 to 1. That's the odds of making an NBA roster. So congratulations on being the one.
Yeah, well, being the one for
Yeah.
14 years.
Yeah, 14 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, so multiply that by like another 10 to 100 right there. So then now you're just a blessed human. Now you're walking around, now your athleticism and the mental quietness and the mental strength. But it's just funny because the analogy that I used is that there's only 10 people on the floor at any given time. And I use the quote, the man in the arena from Theodore Roosevelt, where I'm like, everyone that's around, it was, and the reason I said I was sitting courtside, it was a bucket list thing. So it was cool, but it was also insane to like be down there with all of y'all, but also be hearing all the bullshit. Like,
Constant.
you're smiling. And I'm like, hey, young white woman over here, what are you doing? I'm like, why are you? I'm like, what do you even know about the game right now? And you're over here ragging. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So it's just constantly just the cheapest seats make the loudest noise.
Yeah.
And I see that over and over again, man. So that you saying that just reminded me, in this interview and this conversation just reminded me of that, because I'm like, y'all deal with so much stuff. Was there ever a moment where you had any certain practices, mantras, or something that a mentor or a coach told you that like really helped you quiet the noise and ignore everyone when you're trying to get stuff done?
Not really. Nothing in particular. It just has come naturally for me. And what's kind of funny when people talk about the game or whatever it may be, they're like, "Oh my gosh, hey, did you hear me? I was yelling at you. I was actually right next to the courtside and was yelling at you. Did you hear what I said?" Yeah. No.
Not
Like,
locked in.
it's not even nothing personal. I just literally can't. It just I don't know. It's like you go into a zone, and that zone, for me, it's not for everybody, but for me, that zone is I literally. It's just basically a general sound that I
Mhm.
hear here and there. Yes, there'll be a person or two that their voice will stand out or whatever it may be, but for the most part, it's
Just going out
just
there, do your job.
yeah, exactly. Like it's not a lot of extra.
I love it. So you posted a picture on your Instagram a while back. It was a little quote that you did where it was talking about financial literacy in the league.
Hmm.
And I found it really interesting because, and that's where I want to take you right now, is so whenever you do make it and you're getting these contracts and you're making income, a lot of the time for a lot of people in the league, it's the first time they're seeing this kind of money ever. And
Hmm.
then it's like life-changing generational money, but a lot of them don't make it out with that money.
Yep.
Like, why do you think that is, and how do you think we can remedy this moving forward? Because now as sports evolve, like you're seeing basketball, baseball, football, you're getting $100 million deals, and it's only going up and up. So it's like, why do you think that is, and why do we see it over and over again with athletes, celebrities, everyone?
Because financial literacy has nothing to do with the amount of money you have. If you don't know what to do with money, it really doesn't matter if you have $1 billion. If you are financially illiterate and you don't know what to do with it. Now, if you have $1 billion, it's going to take you a lot longer to go through that than it would, let's say, 10 million. At the end of the day, I'm such a advocate for financial literacy because I understand that it's not really about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. And I can't remember who says that all the time. I think it's Tory Hunter, a good buddy of mine, who says that all the time. It's like, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. Then I take it to another level. It's like how much money you keep and how much money you invest and grow. Because as we all know, inflation is a monster.
Yeah,
And just keeping money actually loses money, which,
ironically.
yeah, it's like the most bizarre thing ever is, oh yeah, I'm gonna save my money. And I'm like, cool. Like, for, like,
Yeah,
keep going, right? Like it
you're on the
starts
right
with the
track.
it starts with the ability to save, but if that's where you stop, then you're still technically going backwards, which is even crazy. Like I said, it's just crazy to even think like that. Last year, inflation was 7+% or something crazy. So
On paper, it's probably a lot worse.
in certain categories, it was used cars are up 40%. from a year ago. My assistant, she just bought a car, and I think her car might be, and it was like 3 weeks ago. I think her car might be worth more now than it was when she bought it.
Yeah, that's weird as hell.
Well, and that's been happening over the past year. I know people who have actually been doing, they've been ordering cars. They've been ordering cars like from Tesla or whatever it may be, and waiting whatever 6 weeks, 6 months, whatever, however long it takes. And then let's say they buy it for 100,000. They're selling it for 120 before they even touch the car. They actually sell it and make 20K just for, I guess, taking the time to order it and just sit and wait. It's just a really weird environment. Like I said, just going back to that, just being able to save it's a great discipline. But if that's where it stops, then technically you're still going backwards. Now you're better off than the person who's spending all the time.
Yeah.
But you're not technically growing unless you're investing and making money.
Yeah, so Aaron, the guy I was talking about, yeah, he's buying new construction builds, and then as they're building the house, then he knows that he can go, and then 6 months later, he can be able to have that house and have all this appreciation already captured. It's ridiculous. But did you have anyone specifically that was like helping you get this mindset throughout the league, or is there a period where you were just blowing money and then realized, hey, this is dumb? Or were you always wired this way, coming from your Missouri, right?
Yeah, from Missouri. I've never been wired to spend. Like every single thing I have on right now is free. Like I don't like my earrings. These are cubic zirconia. Like I don't spend money on myself, especially on stuff like clothes. Like when I can get it for free, like I'll just wear that. I don't need to spend any money on stuff. Where I do spend money, vacations with my family. I spend money on making memories. That's what I spend money on, and on businesses. So investing in businesses, but that's not really spending. That's investing. But as far as spending, that's just I've always been wired like that. My mom, was a huge part of helping me to develop my mindset in that regard. And so a lot of my habits come from her. Some you can call that good or bad sometimes, because she didn't come from much money. So I still have some habits that are really, people call it cheap. I call it smart, but I wouldn't change that, honestly. It honestly just keeps my wife honest.
Yeah.
Because we balance each other out. She's like on the opposite spectrum as me. She doesn't spend a lot of money either. But
Same.
just from a I'm like the ultra cheap, and then she's hey, let's just throw it away. I'm like, wait, I don't think we should throw it away. I think we can use it.
She's like, hey, babe.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro,
so
you should, yeah, my girlfriend's, hey, so she's like, all my friends are getting all these houses now, these nice houses. And I'm like, yeah, they aren't they? And she's like, why are we still in a rental? And like, why are we in a house hack? I'm like, baby, it's about cash flow. And you can imagine how that conversation went, man.
Yeah.
That was real quick. But yeah, I'm thinking you say that it's funny. I think who was it at the All-Star break? I think it's like Jared Allen. Like they were like clowning dude for like just wearing regular
like a regular sweatshirt and jeans. And they were like,
this is what I'll wear. He's
right. Like why in the heck would I try to impress you guys? I don't care about that.
Yeah, exactly.
More power to you. If you want to spend $1,000 for an outfit, like cool. I don't care. Like it doesn't affect my life. But if you ask me my opinion, I would say, sure. If you're like, everybody has their thing, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, some people love cars. Some people love fashion. Some people love sporting events. Some people love traveling. Some people love jewelry, watches, all kinds of stuff, electronics. What I always say is, look, like you love what you love. You can't help that. The way I view it and the way I would always guide people in with the financial side of it is set a limit, give yourself somewhat of a budget. So if you're a big clothes person, you're like, all right, cool. Instead of just having free reign and every time you go to the mall and every time you go out, you just buy $10,000 worth of clothes, let's give yourself $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month. Say, okay, cool. That's my budget for anything that's on one shirt. That's my budget. If that buys 2 pairs of jeans and 3 shirts, whatever, but just make it systematic. Don't, because once you take it out of the system, that's whenever you say, wow, I spent $45,000 in clothes this month. What am I doing? It's just one story. hit here, one store hit there, and all of a sudden just adds up. But if you throw that budget on there and give yourself some sort of barrier, but allow you some freedom within that barrier, that's the best way to handle it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I remember Shaq telling the story about where he blew like $1 million, like his entire rookie signing bonus. He blew like $1 million in 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the dealership, got himself a car. His dad was like, "Hey, where's my car?" So he went and got his dad a car. And then his mom was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Yo, where's my Mercedes?" And all of a sudden, everyone starts coming out the woodwork. The whole neighborhood starts calling up on you. But man, no, that's fantastic. That's good that you're wired that way from the get-go. And then my last question revolving around the league before we transition into the next part of your life, which is why I was saving this question, is one on identity. I always go back to Kobe's story where, bless his heart, man, freaking Kobe.
Yeah.
But man, he did everything he could for his craft. That was his identity. Like for being a professional athlete, being an NBA player. And a lot of the guys leave or they're starting to exit and they start having this identity crisis where they're like, who am I off the court? Who am I off the floor? And then I liked Kobe's example because then he was like, hey, I'm a dad. He's
Mm-hmm.
now I'm a writer. He's like, I'm a writer. So I'm just curious, like, who's Anthony Tolliver now off the court?
Yeah, it's been the same Anthony Tolliver that I was on the court, really. I've always, in the locker rooms and everything else, it's so funny, for the last decade plus, people have always been like, oh, AT is always on the phone, cutting business deals, doing a real estate deal or whatever.
Running it.
So even while I was playing, AT is, first of all, a man of God. He is a businessman. He's a family man. He's somebody that cherishes his time with his wife and his kids. So much so that my partners know when I drive up and they hear me enter the garage that they say, oh, it's time to get off the phone, kids. I try to make my time at home as much as I can. Now, I'm guilty as charged to, I do too much work at home. I do. And I'm just working on it, trying to get better at it. But that's who I am. And really, basketball to me has always been and he plays basketball. That's where I want it to be, and moving forward kind of in life. It's, oh yeah, he used to play in the NBA. That's crazy, but never has been, never will be my identity. And like you said, there's a lot of people who have struggled over the years with identity, and that's just not something that has been a struggle of mine, because I've just made it, like you said, very clear from the beginning. And so as I'm transitioning out, it's definitely something that a lot of people think, I'm praying that you're going to get picked up in the next couple of weeks, man. Praying for you. I'm like, it's not really something you need to pray for, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yo, slow your roll, man.
Yeah, I'm not like, if it happens, I'm cool. That's great. I would love to finish the year, sure. But I think that a lot of people just feel like, oh man, you're a basketball player. So they feel like I need it. And I just don't. Like, it's not where I derive my value from at all. But it's fun. It's fun. It's awesome. It's the best job in the world. But it's also a job. Just being able to see where everything goes. It'd be good to see. It'd be great to finish out there. But if it doesn't, like, there will be no worries on this side of the aisle. So other people worrying about me in that regard, I hope that they understand that the people who know me, they don't worry about it. That's really the key.
Maybe that's the differentiator. Maybe that's the main differentiator between guys that make it in the league in over a decade and guys that maybe because their identity is so tied up in that they can't stay grounded, but you've been grounded the whole time. So you've been able to just turn it out. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know. I think it's different for everybody. I feel like there's some guys whose identity is in this game and they don't make it very long, and something happens, they get cut or whatever, and you see the downward spiral. And that happens to some guys, and then other guys you'll see might play 15, 20 years, but then they finish and they get cut or they don't get picked up again, and you see them in the D League or somewhere else trying to make it back. And not to say that there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with hooping because you want to hoop, but it's also, what's the motive, right? Is it motivated by just the love for the game and I just want to play back in the NBA? Or is it motivated by, I don't feel as significant if I'm not in the NBA? So that's the biggest thing for me, is what's the motive? If it's just for love of the game, Sure, play wherever you want, whenever you want, however you want. I just played against a bunch of old guys this morning, like just to get up and down because I love the game, not because I was going out there to try to prove something or to do anything special. I just was wanting to get some cardio and play the game because I love it. I don't know. I don't know if there's a lot of guys who are in that position. It's really tied to their identity a lot of times, and it's sad, but it just
Yeah, I feel like people go through seasons too, because a lot of the guys coming into the league are young and it's like they need to learn too as they're growing. But the last question I have on the league here is just to put it in context of just like the accomplishment of a massive life goal, something that you were probably like as a kid or when you were going through, you're like, hey, like I want to be in the NBA one day, and you made it. But
Mhm.
the path to get there wasn't probably the path that you were expecting. You took the long, winding route, but you finally made it to the mountaintop. What's some advice that you can give to people that are trying to get to their first mountaintop and maybe their path has not gone the way that they want it to go and they're taking the long way? What's some advice that you can give them to make it through and keep climbing?
I don't have any true words of wisdom. Really don't. It's just like the best piece of advice is just keep going, right? Like it's just
Mhm.
not. It's just not. There's nothing. There's nothing that I could say that's like a special sauce. And I say that to people all the time. Like, people are always like, how'd you make it to the NBA? How'd you do this and stuff? I'm like, just worked really hard. It's not like it's not rocket
Not
science,
sexy. Yeah.
but for me, I was also blessed with a whole lot of open doors, and I was blessed with 7 foot wingspan and being 6'8". So if I was 6'2", I wouldn't have made it, right? Like just plain and simple. So it's just there was just a lot of things that actually went right, and but also accepted from a very young age. I would say young age as in college. I would
Mhm.
say young because still at that point you feel like you know what you're talking about or doing. You're still figuring it out. And I look
Yeah.
back at myself at that point, I'm like, I knew some stuff, but a lot of stuff I didn't. But one thing I did figure out in college was this whole NBA thing that would be amazing. That's what I worked my whole entire life for. Being a man of faith, I'm like, but if I don't make it, will I be dissatisfied with my life? No. The answer is no. I'm not going to allow that to define me, like even making it or being in the NBA to define me. So it's just more so accepting how it all plays out before it plays out made me play it better and freer because I was like, if
Mm.
it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, whatever. Like I would love it. I would love to make it, but if I don't, that's just not meant for me. And
Yeah.
so just whenever I developed that mindset, instead of being like, oh, I got to make it, I have to make it, I got to make it, this is my dream, it just became, if I make it, I will be forever grateful. But if I don't, it just wasn't meant to be. And
So just falling in love with the process.
that's it. That's it.
Just fall in love with the process. Fall in love with the work.
Yeah, just work and control what you can control and leave the rest up to God. But then be willing to work your tail off, work as hard as you possibly can, and still not have the results you want. Be willing to do that. Be willing to put in the work without actually seeing the exact results you want, because it might not work out the way you want. And that's tough. It's tough to tell people or say to people, you could possibly work all like to work your fingers to the bone and
Mhm.
not make it, right? That's
Yeah.
possible. And so for some people, they're like, forget that. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not going to set myself up for disappointment. Well, guess what? Now you really don't know if it was even possible
Because you didn't do it.
because you didn't do your part.
Yeah.
So
And I know some people may be listening to this and maybe they're not religious, quote unquote. I am, so we'll just apply this to the terms of religion, but I'm religious as well. So it's from my experience, we call him God, if they want to call it the universe or whatever. If you're putting forth all that you have and the path that you thought was the right path isn't the path,
mhm,
there's a better path that's coming that you just can't see yet. If
right,
you're, but I like the asterisk that you put on it because I feel like you only get access to the better path. It's like when God closes a door, he opens a window. I feel like
Mhm.
you only get access to that if you were trying your hardest to open the door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
clearly, like you said, some people are not believers, and I
Mhm.
respect that. That's your personal choice, and I choose to believe. I choose to believe that there is a higher being, and that higher being has control ultimately over the ultimate outcomes of our lives. And so that's why I said from a college time, it was more so accepting that. And so it was really accepting, you know, about, what the word says. And it was just talking about, hey, I can't remember who, prayed a prayer about, hey, this is kind of, oh, Jesus, this is not what I want, but your
Yeah.
will. And that just
The
means,
small guy, that small guy
yeah,
people
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about from time to time.
one of those characters. But
The
I was
December
actually,
guy.
I think it was, I was trying to think of, I thought I was thinking of something, another story in the Bible, but then I was really thinking about the main story in the Bible, and the main
Yeah.
story is Jesus, and he's like, this is not really what I want, but
But let your will be done. Yeah.
that your will be done. And
I love it.
ultimately, it's if I can get there in my spirituality, and that's why just even giving basketball, putting that into that lane and that space, it helped me tremendously to be better and just to play more free, because I didn't view it as my will be done. It was his. So if it
Mhm.
was his will, then it was going to happen. Didn't matter what other people thought or done or whatever. I did my part. His will be done. That's
Off to
that.
the races.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, now I want to be able to take you down in this last little bit of the interview. I want to be able to take you down to your investments and talk about your investment journey. So, where did you start? What was your first investment, and where have you grown that throughout the years? Because I know a bit about your strategy, but not too much.
Yeah. Year one, after making, after year one playing professional basketball, I had made more money than my mom had ever made in her entire life, which is crazy. Like in a
Hmm.
year's time, And so I didn't make a ton of money, but it was even just a little bit of money from the NBA, because like I said, I made the team. So I got one check. So that was nice. In training camp checks. Then I went to the D League, which at that point I was actually making more per month than my mom was as a teacher in the D League. And then I went overseas and made pretty good money for about 4 months. So that summer, I believe that was that following summer, so 2008, I bought my first rental property and was able to get that under contract, and I still actually own it today. So that was the very first thing I decided to do. I knew I wanted to get into real estate. I just didn't really know exactly what at that point, but I knew I wanted to get in. So I just bought a rental property and just started, you know, bought a couple more and then a couple more and start stacking on like that. And then I developed a lot of partnerships, and that's kind of how I've been able to grow. What I've been able to do is not by me doing a whole bunch of extra work, because I only have so much time in the day with basketball and everything else, but I just started developing a lot of great partnerships, and that's how I was able to build what I have.
So, what does the portfolio look like today?
Which part?
I have no idea.
So on the real estate side, actually for years, we've been just developing and acquiring, redeveloping, and playing basketball, not really paying too much attention to the amount of doors, but just continuously bringing in and acquiring assets. And so just did an assessment over the past few months and realized, quick side story, there's a mastermind group that a guy that I met in a different mastermind group has, that's all about multifamily. And he was like, yeah, the threshold to get in is about 75 doors. So if you have 75 doors, you can get in. And he's, so how many doors do you have? I'm like, I don't know, maybe 40, 50, something like that. He's, oh, you're close. Just kind of let me know whenever you get to 75 or whatever. And so we kind of broke it down and started adding up all the doors and realized that I was like, whoa, I'm way past, 50 doors. I'm actually more than double that. Like it's 115 doors or something like that. And so I was like, I guess I could call the guy back and join the group I want to, but I was like, we'll do it later. But So yeah, like 115 doors under between myself and different sets of partners in different areas of the country. So on the real estate side, that's where we're at. Just continuing to develop, in the process of developing 45, 49 independent living units up in Omaha, in the process of developing another 29 units in Nixa currently. Those are horizontal housing. So it's kind of like between apartment living and single family home living. So
Okay.
it's smaller individual homes, but you're not sharing walls. So it's like places like Texas and stuff that have more land, you have more space. You can do concepts like that a little bit easier. But we're actually doing it back in Missouri. So we're doing that and shoot in the next 2 years from now. The plan is for that number to be doubled or more, right? So on the real estate side. But yeah, it's just honestly just developing great partnerships on the real estate side, and it's been great. Now on the other side, and I say which side because
I know that's what I was about to ask you. I was like, what about the other side?
yeah, the two sides of my mini empire that I have. I say mini because it's super small compared to where my vision is. The real estate side's kind of got my partnerships up there, and over here on the venture side, I think I have about 40 investments ish. It's different companies at different levels. So from startups to established company. I co-founded Active Faith, which is this company, Big Blanket, Anything Possible, which is a fishing company, multiple different other even startups as well that I've helped to start, and then a bunch of companies I've invested in over time. And some of those have been startups, but not me starting them. And then I have a portfolio of well-established companies like SpaceX and Turo, and I invested in Airbnb, Lime, Lyft, Hims, all kinds of stuff. Pretty cool. Zodiac Cakes. I don't know if you know what that is, but I just have a bunch of different investments I've been able to do, and that's just through networking, through different partners, different people that I know, and just getting a lot of deal flow and being able to get into a lot of really cool things.
So it really all comes down to partnerships.
For me, I found a really interesting and unique way to have a lot of success and not have to work 1 hour a day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not that. For me, it's a perfect mix. It's me being able to get exposed to really awesome deals and make good money doing different things, but not take up all of my time, which is, the most important resource that you have to be able to give to if you have a wife or a girlfriend, and if you have kids, type of deal, and the people that you care about the most. So for me, it's just playing that balance. And so people are like, well, what are you going to do once you're done? I'm like, I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing, which is continue to create partnerships that, or more so nurture the partnerships that I have, and continue to grow those businesses that I'm already a part of, and still be able to do that while getting home and being able to take my kid to school or pick them up from school and spend that good time with them as well.
That's awesome. So what's the vision? You said this is nothing compared to your vision.
Yeah, this is vision as in, I don't really have a number where I'm like, okay, like some people are like, oh, trying to get to 100 million or whatever. Never really had a number in mind. What I've always tried to do with my business portfolio is, my ultimate goal is to help at least 100 people become a millionaire. So to help create $100 million in wealth is my standard. It's like where I want to ultimately end up. And I'm gonna blow past that number. Not necessarily, like, my goal is to do 100 people. 100 people. Just since I had that thought process or whatever, had multiple people. One guy got a $6 or $7 million check from something that we did together. So clearly, once we start going down this path and doing these different deals, as far as creating $100 million of wealth, that number will be surpassed for sure. But my goal ultimately is to help 100 people or more become millionaires, because an ancillary piece of that, or byproduct of doing that, will be wealth, right? Sure. I'll be able to make money too, but that just means more vacations. That doesn't mean anything. Like, as far as, it's not going to necessarily change the way we do life. Just going to allow us to give more and pour into others easier.
I love it, man. And talk about I was reading online about the starting five thing that you have with like Brogdon and a couple of the other guys with the wells. Man, that's
Yep.
freaking
Yep.
awesome. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I'm also a part of, several nonprofits. One of them being, I'm actually on the board of World Serve, and one of the companies, or one of the initiatives underneath World Serve, is Water Boys and Hoops for Humanity, which is Malcolm Brogdon's, his foundation or his initiative that he started. So essentially, it started out as, hey, NBA players or WNBA players basically use the platform to be able to bring more awareness to all these different places around the world that don't have clean water, and not only bring awareness to it, but let's raise money. Let's go build sustainable wells over in these places to where people can really help every piece of their life educationally. A lot of kids are actually tasks with going to get water for their family on a daily basis. So think about that. If you're tasked with walking miles and miles to get fresh water every single day to bring back, how do you go to school?
Mm-hmm.
You can't. Like, you don't have time. So education suffers. Without clean water, health suffers, right? Just everything. Water is the base of everything. We're 70% of our body is made of water. So it's, if you're a human and you don't have access to, at bare minimum, you don't have access to clean water, it's a travesty. So it's just an initiative that really tries to put ourselves in other people's shoes and say, if I was there, what would I want other people to do for me? And that's what we try to do, is to try to provide opportunity, not only bring clean water, but bring jobs, bring other opportunities as well. So being a part of World Serve has been awesome. They do a great job of really just giving back.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I was reading here. I'll bring up the stat. Hold on a second, because I got the stat in front of me. Okay, starting five. Their goal was to raise $225,000 through Hoops 2.0, and then to fund the wells in East Africa. By February 2020, the charity had funded the construction of wells in Tanzania and Kenya, bringing water to Tanzania to over 52,000 citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Yeah,
like 2,000, man.
And that's ongoing, right? That's not like you go over there. Let's say you give people a bottle of water, right? Mm-hmm. Here's a bottle of water. Oh, thanks. That's nice of you to give me a bottle of water. But what does a bottle of water really do? It helps to quench their thirst for an hour. But what does it do after that? I mean, you can maybe reuse the bottle, but it's not really going to do much after that. But you create a sustainable, is powered by the sun and requires very little maintenance. Then now you're putting something in their village that they can use for 10 plus years. And like you said, that 52,000 or however many people, that was in 2020. Now we're in 2022. That's 2 years later. Could be $50,000 or 50,000 people per year. It could be 150,000 people by now or more.
Yeah.
And that's for every well that we do. So it's kind of the reasons why we do it.
That's so cool. So last question, as we wrap this all up, my question is, what is one thing that you've done in your life or business that you're insanely proud of that most people don't know about you? One part of your life or business that you're insanely proud of that most people don't know about you.
I don't know. Most people don't know a lot about me.
See, I can just throw a fact out.
It's because I'm I don't know. I'm a pretty private person, but also I'm just not like super popular compared to other NBA players and stuff. I don't know. I'm not like out there very much, but just continue. You know what? Like, just kind of going back to my original goal when I talked about business, was helping others become financially free. Has been a huge goal of mine, and just helping to be a part of something that sees like 3 of my childhood friends and one of pretty much my best friend in the entire world being a part of things to help them become financially free is probably the thing that makes me pretty proud. Outside of family stuff, paying for my kids' colleges and stuff like that. And my oldest kid's 9, right? Like, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So my oldest kid's 9, my youngest kid's 2, but the college is already paid for. It's done. That's awesome. That's amazing thing, because hearing stats like the most financially liberating thing you can do for your kid is to pay for their college.
Yeah, so they don't have that debt.
Exactly. Now, it's up to them to take advantage of it, but at least you're talking about something that can help build generationally. If you can pay for their education, that gives them a huge leg up above most other people. So instead of having to put in, let's say, $1,000 or $2,000 a month paying for student loans, or whatever it is, even $500 a month paying for student loans, that money can be saved, then goes to the next step, which is what? Investing. And as you all know, compound interest is an amazing thing. So just being able to stack that money and have that money make money, and have that money make money, and have those monies make money, it's an amazing thing. So
Love it, man. That's awesome. So where can people find you if they're interested in following you, or if they're interested in partnering with you on something, or looking into what you got going on?
yeah, so pretty active on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Not as active on LinkedIn, but trying to do that more and more. But yeah, Facebook is just my name, Anthony. I think actually I'm Anthony Lamar Tolliver on there, but my full name. But on Instagram, Tolliver44, and Twitter, I think is the same. Real easy to find. Not hiding from anybody. So
you're like, I'm private, man. I ain't hiding. 7-foot
yeah,
wingspan. Not hiding.
exactly.
Love
Can't
it,
really
my
hide.
friend. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on today, man. It was a lot of good advice for life, a lot of good advice for business, and it's awesome watching what you're doing. And it's really cool to watch the vision unfold. So it's can't wait to watch the rest of it come to fruition. Man, that's awesome.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it. This has been Brian Luebben and AT Anthony Tolliver.